If you read the financial headlines today, you might think you missed a massive economic boom. According to recent data from the Federal Reserve, millennials in the United States have quadrupled their wealth over the past 5 years. The media is officially declaring that millennials have overcome their rocky financial start and are now wealthier than previous generations were at the exact same age. So, why are you sitting there wondering how you are going to pay for your car insurance this month? The math isn't mathing. If millennials are supposedly the new wealthy class, why do 46% of them report feeling severely financially insecure? Why are more than half of all millennials currently living paycheck to paycheck? Welcome to the era of phantom wealth. Today, we are putting an end to the toxic social comparison making you feel like a financial failure. We are going to look at the hard data to show you exactly how broke the average millennial actually is, why your high salary feels like poverty, and how a structural liquidity crisis is triggering a generational midlife crisis. The mainstream narrative relies on a metric called net worth to claim that millennials are thriving. But net worth is a dangerous illusion in today's economy. The wealth that millennials have supposedly accumulated is largely phantom wealth, meaning it is trapped in highly illiquid assets, such as inflated home equity or retirement accounts that cannot be touched for decades without massive penalties. You cannot buy groceries with home equity. You cannot pay your utility bills with an unrealized gain in a 401k. While paper wealth has increased for a lucky segment of homeowners, the daily reality for the vast majority of millennials is defined by a brutal cost of living crisis. Between April 2020 and today, the typical U.S. apartment rent skyrocketed by nearly 29%. The average cost of living has surged by 28.3% over the past decade, while wage growth has remained painfully flat. This creates a severe liquidity trap. You might be making a six-figure salary, but your actual cash flow is being systematically drained by structural inflation. This persistent financial anxiety is taking a devastating psychological toll. A staggering 36% of millennials are currently experiencing a full-blown midlife crisis before they even reach the age of 40. And the primary driver of this crisis is not a sudden desire to buy a sports car. It is the overwhelming weight of the broader economic environment and mental health struggles tied to financial instability. When we examine this through the lens of behavioral economics, the contradiction makes perfect sense. Humans measure their success through social comparison. When the media tells you your peers are getting rich, and you see curated lifestyles on social media, you internalize your lack of cash flow as a personal failure. In reality, you are comparing your daily financial struggle to an economic mirage. To cope with this immense pressure, around 1/3 of millennials have been forced to take on a side job just to bridge the gap. What should be your prime years of career stability have instead morphed into a relentless hustle for basic survival. Furthermore, 28% of millennials in crisis have resorted to dipping into their savings, a desperate move that provides temporary relief but sabotages long-term financial security. The reason your budget feels impossible is because the structural pillars of the American economy have been radically altered. You are attempting to build wealth in an environment with unprecedented borrowing costs and a severe housing shortage. Over the past few years, aggressive monetary tightening has pushed interest rates to their highest levels in over 2 decades. For millennials, who heavily rely on credit to bridge the gap between stagnant wages and rising costs, this means higher monthly payments on student loans, auto loans, and credit cards. Simultaneously, the housing market has become a generational barrier. Homeownership rates among millennials at age 30 stand at just 42%, lagging far behind the 51% achieved by baby boomers at that same age. This is not an accident. It is the result of a national shortage of roughly 8 million affordable rental homes, driven largely by exclusionary zoning laws and local opposition to new development. Because of this, the median age of a first-time homebuyer has been pushed to a record high of 38 years old. You are not falling behind. The finish line has been structurally moved. A striking 55% of Gen Z and millennials believe their parents had an easier time achieving basic financial milestones. So, where does this leave us? The solution is not to simply budget harder, cancel your subscriptions, and accept a lower standard of living. Acceptance does not build houses, and it does not change macroeconomic policy. We need to radically redefine how we measure economic health, shifting the focus from vanity metrics like net worth to the actual liquidity and purchasing power of working adults. More importantly, we must demand a generational equity lens in policymaking. This means advocating for structural supply reforms in the housing market, rethinking student loan structures, and implementing policies that target relief to the demographics most constrained by this cost of living crisis. You are not broken, and you are not bad at money. You are navigating an economy that has decoupled the cost of survival from the wages of its workforce. Do you feel like your net worth on paper completely contradicts your actual daily cash flow? Let me know in the comments below, and if this hit home for you, make sure to subscribe. You aren't crazy, and you definitely aren't alone.